Hello, salam sejahtera. My name is Dean Julius. I am from PAD 270. Today I will going to present my title is the four failure factors of Malaysian federalism. So as we already know, Malaysia is a federal state formed from several separate regions before the existence of this country. According to history, the Federation of Malaysia was formed when the Federation Malaya joined together with the region of Borneo North, Sabah, Sarawak and Singapore. History of their development of the federal government system in Malaysia is closely related to the expansion of British influence in Malaya. Before the federalism system was introduced, Malaya first accepted the residence system introduced by the British in 1874. Before the state of Perak and then Selangor, Negeri Sembilan and Pahang. However, the system has caused many problems of non-uniformity in terms of administration, causing the level of the development of the state becomes not balanced to overcome the weaknesses of the system. The British enforced the Federation Agreement of the 1895 on July 1, 1869 as 1896, uniting the four states under the central government known as the State of the Federated Malay State (NMB). And in 1909, the British government expanded its influence over the state of Kedah, Perlis, and the Terengganu through the Bangkok Agreement, while the Johor received a British advisor in 1914. There's a five state of known as a non-unionized Malay state (NMTB). Because of their refusal to join the federation for fear of losing their power of the British government. So next is a concept of federalism. So what is a federalism? All right. So the concept of federalism has existed since the glory days of the Greek nation in the 13th century again, when the city-state around Greece worked together to improve common security to face attack from enemy countries. After that, in the 16th century, in the concept federalism began to spread widely to Europe when the Jean Bodin, an influential French political thinker, inserted that the best system of the government is the federalism system because it encouraged the unification of small region or to become a strong country. So, according to when 1967, federalist government is a government system that contains the central government and the state government, each of which has its own jurisdiction that is co-equal and independent as stipulated by the Constitution. It is a measure of the several region or independent state and is subsequently from a federal state under the constitutional structure called the Central Constitution system. This is very emphasizing the division of power between the central government and the state government as the most important basis in governing the country. In Malaysia, the division of power between the central government with the state government has been clearly provided for the Part 6 of Article 73(9)(5)(8) and the Schedule 9th Constitution, also specific for the states of Sabah and Sarawak. Additional protection has been given to this country, such that written down in a Part 12A. So next is we go to the four failure factors of Malaysia federalism. So we have four the failure factors of the one is the different political trends, and the distribution of function is not balanced, distribution of revenue or resources of not balanced, racial and religious sentiment. All right, so we go to the first point is the different political trends. So led to the several conflict between the federal government with the state of government. So based on Malaysia previous political history, it is usual um, to the state that is represented by the party opposed to the ruling party at the federal level often had a bad relationship with each other in August 2002. This difference in the political trends uh, uh, led to several conflicts between the federal government with the state government. This is a party due to the seriousness of the party politics uh, that try to grab the people's trust to get the victory, enable them to have a power in the reins of state government. Um, so following the disharmonious relationship between the federal government and state, various issues started to arise. So election are the field where the people choose the leader who will represent them, their voice at the federal level as well as at the state level until GE12, almost 60 years after the independence of the federal government in the Malaysia, always led or ruled by the same political party, which is BN, Barisan Nasional, because of that opposing political parties such as PKR, DAP, and PAS, challenging the BN government in the selection. The election is synonymous with a little of opposition. So, however, from the 13 GE to the 15 GE, there was a significant change when voters no longer supported Barisan Nasional. Poll relation between the state government ruled by political parties as opposed to the federal government can be seen from 1990. Status at the first to be involved is Kelantan. The event that caused the relationship did not harmony between the two levels of government occurs when the state government of Kelantan regained control by the PAS party. So the situation was then followed by the state of Sabah, Penang, Terengganu, Perak, Kedah, and Selangor in August 2002. So it is appropriate that the leaders of every government respect the decision made by the people by thinking about the interests of the people rather than their respective political survival. What most people expect is both sides is the uh, of the government, such as Selangor state government and the federal government, interact with other professional by putting aside the political sentiments that bring down the nation but compete more healthily by prioritizing interests and harmony by the people by establishing good relation between the government to the people. So for the next is the second one is the distribution of the power and function between the federal and state government is not balanced. Distribution of power and then function between the federal government and state that are easily able to provoke conflict when partition power in the federal constitution itself, when the characteristics are heavy to the federal government. Disagree occurs when there is a situation where the distribution of the power becomes unequal. So referring to the federal constitution of Malaysia, if the state law is again the law federal, state laws will be void to the extent they conflict with provisions of the federal constitution. So can be seen through the study made of Muhammad Agus, who studied in the relationship of Kuala Lumpur with the state of Kelantan and Sabah, studying the relationship between the two level of government is tense when the state government is ruled by parties that are not aligned with the central government. This is driven by unbalanced and overly centralistic distribution of power caused to the central government often uses this power to deny government right, a state ruled by the party that's not agreed with him. This statement is also supported by law who started the centralization of power occurs due to three factors. First is constitutional provisions that favor the center of the government, a state where the center control important areas such as relationship foreign, defense, internal security, law, trades and communication, transportation, education, health and medicine. The state as well only powerful in the field of land, mines, custom and religions, agriculture, forestry and local government. Second, as the BN's dominance is the center of level has allowed the central government to penetrate local government administration through the appointment the council members who control the city hall, council, municipalities, and district councils. Third is the implementation of the new and economic policy (DEB) in 1970, further strengthened in the central authority over the bodies, statutory and public. So we go to the next is the distribution of revenue or resources not balance. So as we can see here, the point is number one is there is no freedom fully obtained by the state government in running the administration, even though it has set under the jurisdiction. The second one is the amount that unbalanced, especially for state-led opposition parties, and lead to the centralization. So the federation government is the dominance in the administration of the century caused the government under in the state level or local government level must always submit to central government, which refer to the highest leadership. There is no freedom fully obtained, but the state government is running the administration even though it has set under its jurisdiction. This can be seen in expect a distribution of revenue or resources from the central government or the state government. The federation government has a responsibility to provide financial assistance to the state government, but the aid given is usually in the amount that unbalanced, especially for state-led by opposition parties. So the source of aid channeled by the federal government is just that not to provide that the federal government has carried responsibilities that should be done according to national standard. Finally, it is can lead to the centralization of the one of power in the administration of the system, federalism. Things like this prove that there is some misunderstanding of the true terms of federalism. The division of the government level calls to exist competition between the federal government and the state government, especially the state opposition leader. This leads to less friendly relationship between the government. Appropriately, the spirit of the federal state in this system is made as an incentive for every level who leads the government to be strengthened by the quality of administration of at every level for the aspiratory of the people. Next is the fourth point is the racial and religious sentiment. So as you can see here, race of racial and religious sentiments triggered the rise of Malay Muslim nationalism sentiment through the formation of the corporation and politicals mobilization such as Malay Dignity Congress BMF by Muslim First campaign. So the development of Malaysia is a multi-ethnic federalism, especially in the period of 2018 until 2021, showing the challenges, weaknesses, and hopes in its survival among the challenges faced by Malaysia's multi-ethnic federalism in the rise of racial and religious sentiments. So during administration, the central government by Pakatan Harapan has triggered the rise of the Malay Muslim nationalism sentiments through the formation by cooperation and political mobilization, such as Malay Dignity Congress BMF by Muslim First campaign. National Consensus, National Alliance, and strengthening Bumiputra agenda in national policy. In addition, anti-federal sentiment in Sabah and Sarawak also erupted, like the formation of the separatist organization Sabah Sarawak Keluar Malaysia SSKM, and some issue of federal asymmetric weakness such as discrimination Bumiputra groups, the application of the peninsular administrative model, and backwardness, state development, the political practice of consensus also seems to fed the federalism multi-ethnic Malaysia. This is because of the emergence of Perikatan Nasional with the dominance of three Malay political parties in the central government level is seen to be less protective for the politics concept of consensus, prioritizing balanced representation between the different ethnic groups. Two obstacles found in the national and integration, namely among ethnic groups, among the federal. So for my conclusion, although the Federation of Malaysia is faced with challenge with weaknesses that tend to cause instability in the Federation of threaten the harmony of its federal society. So the existence of the some structures and the spirit of the federation is still able to give hope to Malaysia in managing multi-ethnic relations, create territorial integrity, and maintain the federal stability. Thus, identify a challenge and weakness in the Malaysian multi-ethnic federalism significant in order improvement and perform can be done to smooth the administration to guarantee the survival of the federal political system. So this is justified that the needs to study Malaysian federalism that goes beyond legalistic aspect by also focusing on the ethnic aspect, taking into the account the characteristic of cohesion and separation deep ethnic in Malaysia. So for my conclusion, although the Federation of Malaysia is faced with challenge with weaknesses that tend to cause instability in the Federation of threaten the harmony of its federal society. So the existence of the some structures and the spirit of the federation is still able to give hope to Malaysia in managing multi-ethnic relations, create territorial integrity, and maintain the federal stability. Thus, identify a challenge and weakness in the Malaysian multi-ethnic federalism significant in order improvement and perform can be done to smooth the administration to guarantee the survival of the federal political system. So this is justified that the needs to study Malaysian federalism that goes beyond legalistic aspect by also focusing on the ethnic aspect, taking into the account the characteristic of cohesion and separation deep ethnic in Malaysia.